No one really tried to revive Parsi Theater because I don't think anyone realized it was dying.
In Parsi Theater, people would come, people would sit in the audiences and they would just sit back and switch off. And for those 2 hours, they were put into this weird, bizarre, slapstick reality that they just used to escape into. Parsi Theater is more to do with the mannerisms of the Parsis, to do with our own interpersonal jokes that we have, the way we dress, the way we eat, the way we sleep, the way we talk, the way we address one another, the way we behave with one another.
Previously, the Parsi Theater, as it was called, was not Gujarati plays. It was that the Parsi Theater was called because the producers were Parsis. And the whole thing was happening in the Urdu language. And then they also went abroad because Urdu was the main language in those days. So even when they went to Jakarta, Indonesia and all these places, Malaysia, there were people who were talking in the Urdu language, and so they came to see those shows.
We tried various things to grow Parsi theatre, just not comedies. We did a play called Hello Inspector, which people still remember to this day, the Gujarati audiences, which was a pure thriller. And it was a huge success.
Like for instance, I can give you, there's this very famous doctor, Dr. Jimmy Sidhwa, and he used to do a lot of these Parsi plays at the Parsi General Hospital a long time ago. And he became famous not only as a radiologist but as an actual actor, and people would come up to him during his OPDs and they would come for autographs and stuff like that. So it was great to witness something like this happen, but it's not going to happen again.
The biggest decline came when the silent films came in, because they were very cheap to see and this was something new. Those films coming in where you can see something even silent in just 2 annas. Why would you come and see theatre where you have to spend 5 rupees? But in theatre, there wasn't that much money. We can't afford to hire out the sets. I said, come on, we'll make our own sets. The money that we were saving of hiring the sets was the income of the play. In the good old days, Grant Road, Colonel Grant was a love theatre. So there were 5 theatres in that locality. The Victoria Theatre, the Baliwala Theatre and 3 others. Colonel Grant bringing shows from London and Paris, dance shows, etc. Suddenly when the films came into such a being, all the other activities stopped. By that time the foreigners had stopped coming, and all the Indian plays and all which were being done, they couldn't afford to do it because nobody was coming. With the result that the whole Grand Road, that brothel area, were previously all the extras used to come and stay there. But once all this stopped, unfortunately those girls became prostitutes.
About 10 years back, in theatre in general, there was a big lull where getting a date at the NCPA would be like a cakewalk.
The population is dying. The entire target audience is dying out. You can't be making jokes that only 30,000 people will understand, and the rest of the 1.2 billion people are just like, hey, what's going on? From a commercial perspective, I'm not going to make money making a Parsi play. Especially if it's not like the entire TG is going to come and watch my play, right? So as a new age Parsi actor, I mean, it's great to revive things in the past and have nostalgia over it, but it's not going to work anymore because the relatability is lost.
What we need is quality Parsi writers. How many Parsi writers are there? Today only one, Mirzad Patel. We don't have Parsi writers. In those days, apart from Adi Marzban, there was Firoz Natia, another brilliant writer, Homi Tavadia. We had about half a dozen Parsi writers. The Parsi younger generation stopped reading Gujarati or learning Gujarati or writing Gujarati. So there was a big gap, and so the Parsi actors wanted to act in English theatre. There are no actors available today for Gujarati theatre. That's a big handicap today. That is the handicap. I mean, today when we do a Gujarati, all this laughter in the house, we have to type out the script in English and the Gujarati in English, and they would read it.
More than anything else, people were, even today, they're very ashamed of their culture, not just Parsi culture. Anyone would be ashamed of their own culture. They don't like speaking in their own mother tongue. They think it's not cool.
If you keep looking at Parsi theatre from the lens that of the past, it's dead.
Every person loved theatre and they wanted to be in the theatre. Right now, if people come to us and they say, we are interested in theatre, but they are not interested in theatre. They are interested in taking the first step towards working in television or the first step towards going into movies. With the result that they lack the sincerity of purpose.
We're seeking much more from our plays now. We don't just want that silly slapstick Audagiri, you know, where the Parsis talk. We don't want that anymore. We want something more tongue-in-cheek. We want something more witty.
We decided to write scripts. And the reason we choose to write it on our own is that none of the stuff that is written so many years ago makes sense today. It not only doesn't make sense, it's not relevant. And so that culminated into just doing the first English play, then the second English play, and then we dabbled into Gujarati theatre, and we didn't want to because we thought again, okay, will the audience accept this? So we followed it up with another play where there were two boys, Danesh and Danish. They played a homosexual couple, and they didn't behave in that stereotypical homosexual way, and that's what the audience found funny.
But even when we used to discuss, for example, that second play that we did, Ambawan, I know it, and it was on homosexuality, and you know, so we used to discuss, would this work with the audience? Because we were
shit scared.
Yeah. We were skeptical.
We were very scared.
How would the Parsis react? And they actually loved the play. You know, so
because it's that thing happened, no, for them also when they were actually when they were watching it, that it's not that Parsis are all straight, no. People realize that this is also working. And now when you open the Jami Jamshed, which is the Parsi newspaper, you will see that there are at least 9 plays that happen. Going to die anytime soon. As I told you, now you see more ads in the papers, more groups coming up. There are newer groups, the younger ones who have just started and are filling houses because they're also doing their own original plays.
I don't see much hope of Parsi theatre reviving those old glory. But if it happens, it will be great.